And thanks for having me and Hot Chili back to RIU Sydney. So the Hot Chili story has been a long one, 15 years developing the Costa Fuego project. And our project may not be the biggest out there yet, but what we have is a culture of discovery and determination, which has seen a major discovery made every 4 years on average for the company. So this culture has developed a billion-tonne resource and a PFS with several unique advantages. For these reasons, Hot Chili is on track to build the next Chilean copper mine. So the reason I believe this is I was previously the resource development manager for Hot Chili for 5 years. So I was involved with mineral resource estimates for Productora, Cortadera, the Costa Fuego PEA, PFS, and now the Verde discovery and resource drill out. Hot Chili's recently made strategic changes to our management and company structure, bringing on expertise to streamline delivery of our EIA and feasibility studies of Costa Fuego and our Huasco water asset. And despite the turbulent market conditions this year, we were able to secure a $40 million institutional funding arrangement in February. And this was following a share price re-rate of the company, which was largely driven off results from Verde. So this increase in copper price has seen the share price re-rate of many copper developers, as you can see here, including Hot Chili. So over the last 12 months, as you can see on the graph, there's been a doubling of the mean enterprise value of copper developers since mid-2025. This increase in valuation has also seen the average price of project transactions, as well as the number of transactions increase as well. The P/NAV ratios have been rising since mid-last year, both for developers like ourselves and also for copper producers. With this in the background, Hot Chili is continuing to complete its asset-level partnering process. We're focused on delivering shareholder value and also funding the project through to feasibility and beyond. So as part of my new role with Hot Chili, I have a big emphasis on growth. So I just wanted to give you an update on the 3 strategic fronts the company is advancing. The Verde rapid drill out, the optimization of the Costa Fuego PFS, and also our strategic water asset. So for those not familiar, Hot Chili's assets are located at low elevation on the Chilean coastline, about 600 kilometres north of Santiago. The project was recently given priority status by the new pro-mining Chilean government, and we have the only maritime concession in the Huasco region. This includes the major mining projects located high up in the Andes, 4,000 metres above us. So Hot Chili began in Chile with the Productora discovery in 2010 and followed up with the Cortadera discovery in 2019, which together make the bulk of our billion-tonne resource. This resource underpins our 2025 PFS, 80% of which is indicated classification. The project has huge natural advantages located close to a port, major highway, and the mining town of Vallenar. The central processing plant will be located at Productora, you can see in the centre, and the Verde discovery I mentioned is located only 35 kilometres south of this. So the Verde story is one of consolidation, discovery, and growth. Following years of efforts to joint venture this area, the tenement package surrounding a small existing oxide mine, open pit, was consolidated for the first time in 2024 by Hot Chili, and it really puts the geological puzzle together for us. The initial phase 1 resource program of 10,000 metres was started shortly after, and our discovery hole, DKP2, recorded 308 metres at 0.65 copper equivalent. At the end of this RC drilling program, we had a 0.2% copper mineralisation footprint, about 1 kilometre by 750 metres wide, and it was only limited at depth by the extent of the resource, as the RC drilling capacity, about 400 metres depth. Phase 2 diamond program started in September last year, and we quickly doubled the depth of that mineralisation. So the drilling confirmed not only the continuity of the high-grade shallow depths, but also the extension of the high-grade core at depth and a convergence as well. And we recently released our widest and highest grade intercept to date, DKD 39, with a huge 725 metres at 0.42% copper equivalent, only from 18 metres depth. So the diamond drilling program has now doubled the amount of metres we have, over 20,000 now, and it's really highlighted what a huge growth lever Verde is for Costa Fuego, as well as for the company. And we've identified 3 areas of growth that we're focusing on. So the first, as I mentioned, is that shallow, high-grade material, often with mineralisation beginning just underneath the shallow gravel cover. We have, as you can see on the screen, we have multiple up-dip drill holes have targeted this zone. And yesterday we released one of those, DKD 40. You can see on the figure at the top left, which has confirmed continuity through a previously perceived lower grade zone, and we've actually increased that continuity through there as well, which is really encouraging. The second area of focus is the extent of that high grade core that I mentioned, both laterally and also at depth. Recent drilling that we've had has suggested that the eastern flank of this core is pushing further out quite significantly. And the final area is the extent of the maiden resource. So you can see the southern extent is quite under-drilled, under-explored, and this will be a focus area for us coming up, potentially doubling the 0.3 or 0.4% copper mineralisation footprint. So for all of these reasons, we are bringing another rig onto site, which will be starting next week, another RC rig to accelerate this growth. So since we intersected 148 metres at 0.82% copper equivalent from 70 metres in our first diamond hole, DKD 32, the focus has been on this shallow mineralisation, this high grade, and the potential for another high grade starter pit for Costa Fuego. As you can see, a few of our significant intercepts on the screen that we have within the top 200 metres of surface. So all of these, as I mentioned, are under shallow gravel cover, some starting from 4 metres, and it means it's really cost-effective open pit mining. The continuity of this mineralisation is strong, and we also have a high-grade gold zone forming on the eastern side of this high-grade core as well. It's actually the highest grade gold that we have across Costa Fuego. So this is what Verde looked like after 10,000 metres of RC drilling. And this is what it looked like after just over 20,000 of RC and diamond. So we've doubled the depth and it's still open in many areas. And our announcement yesterday also highlighted strong copper porphyry style mineralisation across 4 drill holes, 3 shallow and the 4th at depth. And so all of these are pushing out that eastern flank and improving the continuity of the high grade as well. So we're using the same targeting approach that we developed at Cortadera, and this is what has enabled us to rapidly develop Verde from a discovery hole to what will be a maiden resource in about 2 years. Verde also sits within a large cluster of 3 lookalike targets, 2 of which are also undercover. The exploration team has done initial recon on these, and we're hoping to do some more detailed exploration drilling on these shortly. So the resource base of Costa Fuego is already within the top 10 of undeveloped projects outside the majors. The copper projects in this pipeline have an average grade of around 0.41, 0.42 copper equivalent. This is what is going to fuel the next copper supply. It's going to be big tonnes and low grade. And these projects take a long time to discover, to drill out and to develop. Hot Chili's indicated resource base has an average grade of 0.45 copper equivalent, and the addition of a high grade open pit resource at Verde will very likely push us towards that tier 1 status of 5 million tonnes of contained copper equivalent metal. So the Costa Fuego PFS was released last year, and it really showed the low risk and clear path to production for Costa Fuego, with these inherent advantages like the low elevation, proximity to the ports, a clean concentrate with no arsenic, and also the initial high-grade starter pit production from Productora, reducing the payback to only 4.5 years. So these features are highlighted in the PFS metrics on the screen, and with a bottom quartile capital intensity and a top quartile production capacity. This isn't a small project, and it's only going to get bigger with the addition of Verde, but it's not going to have the startup capital of most other copper development projects out there. So commodity prices used in the PFS last year were conservative, $4.30, and we still saw a 19% IRR and a post-tax NPV of $1.2 billion. The new long-term consensus in April for copper was about $4.80, and we know with our project that for every 10-cent increase in copper price above $4.30, we add an additional $100 million US to the NPV. And the preliminary impact studies we've done on Verde suggest there will be a significant increase to the IRR and NPV, as well as a reduction in the payback period with the addition of Verde. So for these reasons, as well as the scale of Costa Fuego at almost 100,000 tonnes of copper metal per annum, the project's very leveraged to copper price, as you can see here. Our capital intensity is strongly linked to our low elevation. At 740 metres above sea level, we're very unique, particularly when compared to our South American peers. This is a huge natural advantage, obviously, and it impacts costs across the board, from exploration to development and onto operations. So Costa Fuego currently sits also within the top 5 of independent copper developments in terms of scale, and has a below average C1 cash cost as well. So while we aren't the biggest PFS project on this graph, we aren't looking at a $2.5 or a $3 billion startup capex. We're close to 1.3. And we have a streamlined path to production, and we're able to take advantage of this high copper price environment. So the layout for Costa Fuego is very compact, and it takes advantage of the existing infrastructure, as you can see here, and the proximity of the resources to each other. We plan to have a 20 million tonne per annum concentrator at Productora, and that will use the raw seawater supplied by stage 1 of the Huasco water project. The team is currently considering all options on how to integrate Verde as rapidly as we can into the existing project, with metallurgical, geotech and mining engineering work streams underway at Verde. And the team's also busy finalising our stage 1 of our EIA, which will also integrate Verde to ensure we have both higher grade starter pit options, so Productora and Verde, are streamlined towards permitting and production. And finally, Huasco Water is the company's strategic water asset, which it's been developing for over a decade. The Atacama is one of the water scarcest regions in the world, and you cannot take continental water out of the ground. Desalination is the only option for a lot of the copper projects in the region, and for this you need a maritime concession. Hot Chili is one of only 2 companies to be granted one in the region in the last 22 years. So we completed a PFS for Huasco Water as well in 2025, looking at a staged approach, with the stage 1 being on seawater for Costa Fuego. Test work at Productora over 10 years ago indicated we would have the same, if not better, recoveries using seawater. And obviously when we did the PFS for Cortadera, we did the same test work and found the same to be true. Initial test work from Verde indicates that it will also be able to use raw seawater rather than desalinated, so it's obviously great for our ESG credentials. Stage 2 and 3 will follow, and that will be an expansion and development of the desalination network. So this second maritime concession is expected to be approved in Q2 this year, and will unlock significant strategic asset for Hot Chili. We'll be able to supply 2,300 litres per second to the largest cluster of undeveloped copper projects in the world. And as you can see, there's some big names and some big projects on there. So this regional funding opportunity from possible water off-takers, as well as the growth opportunity with Verde and the leverage that we'll have for Costa Fuego and Hot Chili in a time of rising copper prices, means it's a very exciting time for Hot Chili. Thank you for your time.